Welcome to another episode of Woman to Woman Conversations in Black and White. I'm Linda,
And I'm Bernadette.
and we have begun having conversations last June and found so much benefit from talking across racial lines that our purpose in creating these videos is to encourage you to have conversations across racial lines, not just about a cake or children's birthdays, but actually about all these different, difficult, and sensitive topics. The purpose being to come to a deeper understanding of each other and to recognize our shared humanity.
Mhm.
Bernadette, you want to introduce today's topic?
Well, today we are going to talk about the insurrection on our own capital by our own citizens. And so this whole election cycle has refreshed many of our memories about the United States Constitution because there's so many dates that come and go along with the presidential election that absolutely no notice is paid. Like no one typically pays notice when the electoral colleges, certify their votes. No one typically pays any attention whatsoever to January 6th when the Congress acknowledges those certifications of votes and concedes to the transfer of power. No, I've never paid attention to it. Have you ever paid attention to those dates
No,
before?
absolutely not.
And so I knew I wanted to watch that day simply because this has been an absolute farce. I cannot say that I was surprised at the way that the day went. I cannot say as a Black person, or actually any person of color, was surprised at the way the day went or how far people took it.
Mm-hmm.
My surprise that day was I did not recognize, we talk a lot about white privilege. I did not recognize how pervasive and encompassing white delusion is, because there was no other way for this to culminate than the way that it did. You can't stoke someone's feelings of being stolen from, or an injustice has been committed against you, or we're losing the land that is ours. You can't continually say that time and time and time again to people who show up on a regular basis armed and angry and spiteful and expect the ending to be anything different. So that was the most shocking to me thus far, is just the insane amount of white delusion.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I have seen that sentiment from a number of different Black authors and people like Van Jones, speakers, authors, various Black writers and celebrities that are talking about the same thing. And yet, on the other side of my acquaintances, I can't say really close friends anymore.
Right.
My close friends aren't surprised anymore. But on the other side of my acquaintances, there's still people being quoted as saying, I can't believe this. This isn't who we are. And Ibram Kendi in the last few days has said, this is who we are. This mix of white supremacy and denial and delusion and all this is who we are as a collective.
Been. Yeah,
Pardon?
it's who we've always been.
Right. And probably one thing that I mean, I have moments of hope and moments of terror and all those things in between, as I'm sure you do. One thing that I do believe is happening, without trying to be certain about anything, I believe that the denial is breaking down in the larger whole. And that's one reason it gets so ugly. And as you know, I'm sure you know things about addiction, and when when the addictive cycle begins to collapse and it's not
Hmm.
working, things get pretty ugly. They
Right.
really do, in an individual's life, in an individual's family, in the workplace. Person may lose a job, they may lose
Mhm.
driver's license, they may go to jail. There's any number of things that can happen when an addiction collapses the system.
Right. Mhm.
And who's to predict exactly how far will things collapse and who will die and who will live? I have no idea about any of those things. But I
Mhm.
do sense that the denial that you and I can sit here and talk about and be aghast at, I believe it's breaking down, and that more and more people are acknowledging the systemic nature of all of this. Many of my friends are, and are taking a real interest in educating themselves. And
Mhm.
although that doesn't fix anything right now, it's probably the only way change is really going to happen. Is a lot of people have to care, and a lot of people have to change.
Ye- And frankly, a lot of people have to wake up.
Yeah, yeah,
They have to wake up, and they have to be willing to recognize that this has all been a farce. Because just like people are saying, I can't believe this happened. I can't believe it came to this. It's not only that, a lot of people also need to recognize that this was allowed to happen. And the
oh
reason
yeah,
why I say that this was allowed to happen is because there could have been no other organization or group. Black Lives Matter, LGBTQ,
exactly.
Hispanics, Native Americans, I mean, indigenous people. There could have been no other demographic that was going to show up in those numbers and would have been allowed to get as close as they got, first of all, to the Capitol,
Right.
let alone breach it. And
Yep.
so that's an entirely different recognition that people have to come to, that there were police officers, Capitol police officers, who were in on this. There's about 30 former veterans who stormed the Capitol. So
Yes.
it is multiple levels that this feeling of white supremacy, this feeling that we own, this is ours, it belongs to me, and no one else has a right to take it. That those recognitions haven't even begun.
Yeah.
Haven't even begun.
Amongst those people, you're right. You are right.
Hmm?
You're absolutely right. We're going through a time of waves of events that are shocking and that awaken some. And then there's
Mm-hmm.
something else and something else.
Mm-hmm.
And it's exhausting to watch through it. And then you wondered how barricaded are some behind this delusion that you mentioned earlier.
Right.
I think you said delusion was the word you used. Is that right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then there's the what can we do about it? What can I do about it? What can you do about it? And
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a good answer. I mean, our conversations and putting them out there is one thing. It may never reach the people we wish it would reach.
Um, I disagree. I think what we can do about it is be honest. I started classes again last night because, as you know, I'm finishing up school counseling certification. And so we
Yes.
started classes. So these are classes led by counselor educators. These are LPCs. These are professionals in the realm of supposedly helping.
Hmm.
We got 45 minutes in the class, and I'm sitting there, and the professor literally had said nothing. Absolutely nothing. And so then she opens up the floor and she goes, well, I just want to hear you guys' thoughts about this semester, what you're excited about, this, that, and the other. And I asked her, I said, how transparent do you want our communication to be with you? And
Hmm.
so she goes, share whatever you're comfortable sharing. And this is what I said. I am unbelievably disappointed that the occurrences that have happened over the past 3 days in our own nation, this national trauma that we are watching unfold every single day, and trying to live through and function through. I am absolutely astonished and disappointed that I am having to bring this up. And then every other student thereafter, said, I agree. I want to talk about this. We didn't have any space about this. But literally, I had to bring that up. If someone doesn't bring it up, it will not get talked about. So those are things we can do in our everyday life. We have to be the ones willing to say, how are we not talking about this?
Yeah.
All of us to some extent are feeling this.
Right.
In one way or another. Where's the room to talk about this or to process it or to say, I wonder? And so we talked about it for about a good 45 minutes, and she thanked me for my honesty. But I tell you, I was appalled. A student shouldn't have to do that. I couldn't understand. We were in engineering class. We're studying astrophysics. Okay. You're a counselor.
But you're studying therapy and school therapy at that.
Right.
Right.
And I have to remind you of what's going on in the world and how this is sitting with each and every one of us in this classroom.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to do better, but we also have to open our mouths. I
agree.
know that is what we can do in our everyday lives. We have to open our mouths.
Right. Right. I agree, Bernadette. I couldn't agree more. And as a white person speaking to whoever is white and listening to this, I have to say that the only way I developed enough confidence to begin to speak up, particularly in hard situations, is to begin to read and educate myself, plus these conversations with Bernadette. Otherwise, I'd think, what do I know? Or I didn't ever mean to be racist, but I was fully participating in the system without knowing how to challenge it. So if you care about these things, which I hope you do if you're listening, if you care about these things, you've got to start educating yourself about what white people can do about it. And a couple of books, How to Be an Anti-Racist by Ibram X. Kendi, and White Fragility by Robin DiAngelo, and My Grandmother's Hands by Resmaa Menakem. We'll try to put those on our Facebook page. Eventually we'll get them on our website, but eventually, but for now, I can put them on the Facebook page soon after this. So yes, educate yourself so you're not putting your foot in your mouth on a regular basis, which could happen, but the more you know, the less it's likely to.
I would rather someone put their foot in their mouths while they're having an honest conversation and be willing to talk through it than say nothing at all.
Okay.
We gotta allow each other enough grace to be able to make mistakes. And so if no one can have a conversation without feeling like, oh, if I say this will go wrong, or if I say this will go wrong, then conversations will never be had. They just won't.
And I will say a personal thank you to you now that you have been extraordinarily kind. I don't know if I put my foot in my mouth. I tried not to, but you've been extraordinarily kind to help develop that sense of trust so we can talk about these things. And for all that we put into videos, we've had dozens of front porch conversations. We live less than a block away from each other. And we've been doing that since last June, front porch and back deck conversations. So
now we've become stalkers, like we're driving past each other's house looking to see if someone's in the window. So and start a conversation. So yes.
That's right. That's right. That's right. So well, we would encourage you one more time to educate yourself, to watch our videos. I had 2 months of technical difficulties with my computer, so the videotaping stopped for a while. It is now started again, and I'm grateful for that. And we'll try to be putting one of these out a week. We're not sure yet which day, but we'll be putting them out once a week, and we're announcing it on Facebook.
I think we had agreed on Tuesdays.
Tuesday.
So when this one lands, it will be the day after Dr. King Day, the day before inauguration.
All right. All right. Well, we'll get this one up that day then on the 19th. So, all right. Well, thank you so much for listening, and like and share. Bernadette, you give that little talk.
Like, share, comment, subscribe. tell your friends, and just keep talking. If you're not keeping talking, start talking and then keep talking.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.